It's hard to believe that something could happen so significant that it could replace COVID in the headlines, but it has. This virus, this smaller than small agent that's altered the way we work, even if we work, our social interactions, our ability to gather has been interrupted by another charged incident of racial conflict and death. I'm Larry Szyman, one of the pastors of Faith Community and lead chaplain with the St. Croix County Sheriff's Office. And this headline hit closer to home, Minneapolis. This wasn't Charleston. This is where we work, where we play, the economic engine of our region. And this callous act happened at the hands of those sworn to serve and protect, bringing with it new levels of fear and despair for many. Many have and will say that George Floyd is dead because Derek Chauvin saw him as a black man, having disregard for him because of their differences. I can see that. I'd like to offer a different take on this. It may seem subtle, but I believe it's vitally important. Here it is. A failure to see similarities. If this officer entrusted by Minneapolis had seen Mr. Floyd as his equal in worth, dignity, and value, he wouldn't have been treated like he had, even though the law called for an intervention. What has set off the explosion in Minneapolis is differences. What will set healing into motion is similarities. The inability to see our similarity, our shared worth, is not a function of color or constitution, but theology. Ultimately, the problem is internal and theological. It has to do with our heart's response to God and to one another. In not valuing God and what He says, we won't value those made in His image. In the creative beginning, it was God who said, "Let us make man in our image," and something amazing was set into motion. The ability to create culture and architecture and sport and economies and literature. Early in our story, we strayed from the glory and the responsibilities of image bearers. Cain kills Abel, and our disregard for other image bearers continues with ups and downs to this very day in this very region. The title image bearer is loaded with dignity. George Floyd is dead today in part because a person acting on behalf of the state operated out of a different assessment. The wages of this sin is death. Perhaps you're like me. I don't live in Minneapolis. What about those of us who don't? How do we live as we're surrounded by image bearers? We show our heart's perspective when we don't treat others as if they matter to God. Murder is not an act that comes out of nowhere. It's the fruit of indifference. It starts small. When I dismiss someone, when I'm slow to listen, quick to speak, when I embrace anger. The way of Jesus highlights that murder begins in the heart, and when I share in disregard for other image bearers, that makes murder possible in me and in my culture. So George Floyd's death is a wake-up call for all of us. Righteous people will generate righteous laws. Righteous laws will only bring about healthy protection if in the hands of righteous people. It's a matter of individuals and society, micro and macro, the single and the system. The most compelling reason to treat one another with dignity is not the law. It's not because we're different, but because we're the same. We all bear the image. Mistreating those of another skin color is an affront to God because it attacks His image. We were made for more. We were made for life. We are image bearers. I hope you found these thoughts helpful as you consider how to live in the midst of a COVID community and local unrest. If so, could you share this link with someone you care about, someone who would benefit? Thanks. And we look forward to seeing you again next week for Faith and Life.